แล้วจังคอยฟังโอ้ยละนา Somebody Lady and gentlemen The boy and the girl I saw sing เซิงบองไฟ
Good evening and welcome to the Lonely Hearts Club. In accordance to its charter, the ABC has to provide broadcasting programs that contribute to a sense of national identity and inform and entertain, and reflect the cultural diversity of the Australian community. Well, we are, of course, the Lonely Hearts Club here on February 26, according to the Gregorian calendar. It's Saturday night, and I know I'd rather not spend the last 2 hours of a Saturday with anyone else other than these three gentlemen that joined me here this evening. Once again, I am joined by esteemed Second Unit Director Duncan Jardine.
Good evening, Richard. Good evening, Lonely Hearts everywhere and fans of Second Unit Cinema.
Disgruntled and a surly yet sombre Terry Wood.
Hello, Lonely Hearts all around Australia, and I know that Lucas isn't here tonight, so I'll just take over with the little catchphrase, start your engines.
And for the first time in the Lonely Hearts Club, since we all first met at Men's Group in Healesville, we have the sensitive New Age guy, or as we called him, Snap, the sensitive New Age poet. It's Wesley Deshawn.
Bonjour, mes amigos. It's great to see you again, all of you.
What a treat to have you here, Wesley, and I hope we're going to be getting some poetry before the end of the show.
I've bought some old stylings and some new stylings, some of the slam stuff I've been working on in Wollongong, and I'm happy with it. I think you will be too.
Does any of it rhyme?
That's not essential to poetry, as we discussed before, Terry.
Yeah. Well, he's a big fan of the rhyming couplet, aren't you, Terry? So before we find out how the gentlemen's week we've got some experts coming in later tonight that are very good at what they do. Jane Alsop is coming in to give us some tips on...
Stingers.
No.
Healers, I think you'll find.
Yeah.
Blue.
Yep.
Blue stingers?
Yeah.
No.
Nonsense.
She's coming in to give us some tips for in case you're cooking for one. It's not always roast dinner for two kids and a dog and a partner. There are people out there who have to dine alone at times. Jane will be giving us some insights on how to best enjoy a meal when no one will eat with you. Marie Carty is coming in.
Does Jane know how you can cook a single-serve casserole?
And confident lady, Marie Carty, she's coming in to give us some tips and to reveal some of the best places to meet prospective partners.
Now, I have to say, she used to do a show on community radio.
Yes.
It was fairly foul-mouthed.
How are you aware of that?
Oh, it was on the midnight. I'd often, coming home from the night shoots, you'd hear a bit of fairly blue sort of talk. So I hope she won't be lowering the tone with any gratuitous references to body parts.
Well, our producer, believe it or not, we have one, has sent her a copy of the ABC editorial charter, all 48 pages of them.
Yeah,
and
it's quite a read.
Been asked to familiarise herself with them before uttering a syllable on the ABC Radio National airwaves. And we're also speaking to a dating expert who's going to reveal why nice guys finish last.
Right.
Yeah.
But before we do, it's time to hear a track that was written about a spoiled heir to a fast food chain from Mr. Daryl Hall and John Oates, Esquire.
You're a rich girl and you're gone too far. Oh, you're a rich girl, yeah. Say money, money,
Rich Girl, a song off the 1977 album Bigger Than Both of Us.
Still makes me tear up, that song.
Wonderful tune. I mean, as someone who's well-versed in chorus and verse, what are the first things you notice about the lyrical stylings of Daryl Hall and John Oates? They like the pentameter they use is something...
Tremendous scanning. I really think that's the secret of their success. A lot of people say it's their voice, their harmonies, the soulness of what they do, but it's in the scanning.
It's the rhymes, it's the echoes, your kiss is on my list.
That's
See
right.
what I'm saying?
I think the true mark of a great song is not how it sounds, but what it looks like when it's typed out and they are amongst the best typers of songs I've ever seen.
Wow.
Double spacing too.
High praise indeed.
Yeah.
Of course, we are going nationally, and the Lonely Hearts Club does play to all of Australia and the world. If you're listening from overseas, you may know that Rich Girl reached number 33 on the New Zealand charts, and unfortunately only 64 on the US Billboard Hot Soul singles. Bad luck, guys. Better luck next time. Terry, how was the week for Mr. Ward? I
Well,
understand you had some professional commitments.
Yeah, speaking engagement, I did a sportsman's night down there. I did mention it last week at the end of the show that I was heading down to the Bowen Heads Tennis Club with the great Wendy Turnbull, the Rabbit. It's her old tennis club, and she asked me to go down there and we were going to do a bit of a two-hander. I was mildly disappointed with the way the evening went.
What happened?
Well, I'll let you be the judge. I get there and do my normal stuff. I found that traditionally crowds have drawn great inspiration from me just talking about myself and telling stories.
I just have to say, Terry, you have been described, and I hope you won't take this the wrong way,
No
as
chance at all about taking it the wrong way.
The poor man's Max Walker, but the rich man's Ewan Chatfield.
Wow.
Let's be positive. Of course, the great Ewan Chatfield, one of New Zealand's greatest ever fast bowler. I put him above Hadley.
Is that the Ewan Chatfield motivational speaker after being hit by the cricket ball
I
that
think
nearly
it's-
killed him, or before?
Yeah, I think we'd have to say post cricket.
Is that,
Yeah.
is that when he had a fit?
Yes.
Was that as a result of the
Yes.
cricket ball?
Yes, but interestingly, his motivational talks became far more focused.
After
Yeah,
that?
that's
Yeah.
right.
Had a reason to be there.
and shorter, I believe. Well, can I just say about Max? You know, it's fine for Max to get up there and read a chapter from one of his books, you know, How I Tamed an Alligator or something
How
like
to
that.
hypnotise a chook.
Well, exactly. Mine are a bit different.
What's the title of your first book?
Mine was Out in the Woods, and it was just a story about, before I made it, really.
And of course that spawned Chop in the Woods and Saw in the Woods.
And they were all, you know,
Collection of anecdotes and testimonials on tours that was.
not as popular as Max's, that's fine, but we've done nights together. And anyway, well, this is what I'll
was
say.
there, because I had heard there was some legal action, Max's latest book, No, I Don't Shit in the Woods.
Yeah.
And I thought that he was trying to cut in on your market.
It's a magnificent forward by Gibbo as well.
Yeah, Mike.
From Mike Gibson.
Yeah.
No problems there. I'm fully supportive
Good,
of Max's publishing career. I will say this. I told a story, a famous anecdote, a funny, engaging tale about the day I kicked 5 goals against the Swans, even though the night before I'd been up until 4 a.m. playing poker with Ian Thorpe, Mal Meninga and Glennis Nunn. Now, that's my story,
Glennis.
which, I'll say this to you, and all around Australia,
She,
it plays very well.
She still counts cards, Glennis.
Oh, she's
She's
a
a
hell of a
card killer.
card player
Yeah.
too. And also,
Only one casino in Australia will still take her.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think in her book, Second to None, she talks about that.
her tells when you're playing poker, because of her fringe,
Yeah.
she is impossible to read.
You've got Thorpe there with the wraparounds.
Yeah.
Mal Meninga's got the
Mal's-
bollets.
Bollets over a hood.
Right.
It's just impossible to.
And,
And then
And Nunn's just
Nunn
got
with
the fringe.
Yeah.
The scissors across.
So
Can she still shuffle an entire deck just with her inner thighs?
It was
Because she was a fit woman.
Wow.
it was amazing, some of the tricks she did, Wesley. But that's my story, and it's quite an inspiring tale. I found it always, you know, and I get
Yeah.
out with a,
Yeah.
you know, Turnbull.
Wendy Turnbull, a famous singles, doubles player of Australia from the 80s.
She's still the great white hope, really.
I think she's 3 spaces higher than Stozer at the moment. Samantha Stozer, given...
I
so we've
think
got
I always
number
thought
of-
that growing up that if Wendy Turnbull and Brod Dyke got together that they could really take the circuit by storm. But anyway, I lead off, I think, to do the gentlemanly thing, and I'll let Wendy come on after me. So I do that, and it kills. But as it always does, Wendy tells the story about how she got the nickname the Rabbit.
She
So
comes
was-
on before you or after you?
No, I went on first.
Yeah.
I opened for her, I suppose. But
Is this the real story, or is this the story that she does at public events which children can hear?
well, my point, Wesley, is that no one cares.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So I'm there
Ouch.
opening for a clearly inferior act.
How did they take her Sammy Davis Jr. impersonation?
Well, that's when she does that, by the way, because I've done nights with her before. That's when she's in trouble.
But she
when
takes-
when she brings out a bag of sand, doing a bit of soft shoe, it means that the story about how she got the nickname the Rabbit hasn't played well.
The night I heard her do it, down at the Bunbury Tech a reunion event that I attended, she actually pulled off a Dunlop volley and tipped the sand out of that. to...
Well, I'm not doubting. It's a well-crafted act that she's got.
And in fairness to her, I think her version of Candyman, the Candyman, is up there with Sammy Davis Jr.
Well,
in fact, I think in the tennis dress, it adds a lot.
Especially when she reveals the 2 tennis balls
That's
in the
right.
third verse.
The problem with tennis players, I was in a poetry slam with Ross Case and Phil Dent, and the problem is they're competitive people, and so they don't understand art, they just understand winning.
It's
I don't
one of
want
the
to
few
talk about
times-
what happened in our poetry slam, but they crossed the line.
That seems to be, 2-on-1? Is that like a...
It was
an
2-on-1. It
American
wasn't a
single?
doubles poetry slam, and that was the first point, and I pointed that out, but it made no difference. And I attempted to phone Roscoe Tanner to come in with me. He didn't want to.
No.
He actually didn't know who I was.
I mean, if there is no rules, there is no art,
Exactly.
I guess. And,
Exactly.
that's something we learnt at Hillsville Sanctuary.
I think Mussolini said that.
She told her story that no one cared about. Then she'd gone to the soft shoe. Then she'd gone to singing, and yeah, she just didn't know when to stop.
If you're listening, Wendy, give you a shout out. Of course, people may think that Terry doesn't like you. I just do want to put a little caveat on there. Wendy Turnbull is Terry Wood's girlfriend.
Well,
Is that right?
no. Well,
That hasn't come up before.
no, it hasn't, but with good reason. We're on and off. Can I just say that? That's how I see it. That we're on and off.
wow.
That's
Great. Wesley, first time we've seen you since Healesville at the men's club. Very important. I know that you've got a huge following, and I guess you were probably the celeb of the group. No offence, Terry, when we all met. I know that Duncan was familiar with your work.
I actually saw Wesley at Byron Bay at the Writers' Festival. I was there filming a little doco about Bryce Courtney, when he did that thing where he sat in a tent and wrote an entire novel in 5 hours. I think he knocked out the persimmon tree the afternoon I was there.
And didn't a crowd turn up to watch?
They went nuts watching a bloke write a novel. But I have to say, Wesley was in the next tent.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I love poetry.
Thank you.
I don't know whether it was your idea or whether it was your publisher's idea to try and sort of jazz it up with flashpots and what was described on the sign as the Wesley Duchamp dances. I would have thought the poetry could stand on its own 2 feet.
I thought that too, Duncan, and I was surprised. The flashpots actually scared the bejesus out of me. I had no concept.
It hurt the meter too, I felt.
If I may, obviously that was my earlier period. I've moved into a tighter style now, the modern style as we call it, but my book at the time was The Shallowness of the Deep Thinker. And if I may, this was the very poem I was performing.
Wow.
When the dances happen. You listen to the quality, imagine the typing out of this poem, if you will, and then imagine what it's like to have. So this is called I See You.
Wow, this is a treat, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time on radio anywhere in the world, we have Wesley Duchamp, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S, as a poem he will be performing live on air. Please, Mr. Duchamp.
This is I See You. I see you. You stand there in front of me, but you don't care. I see you in a hospital for emergency, known as intensive care. I see you, a frozen sheep at the extremities. But does anyone care? I see you. Now,
It's a bit long.
Absorbing.
it's not long, Terry. That's
Yeah.
complete. I don't think you've ever understood the role of
I do
poet.
like this one, though. This one rhymed.
To
so I'll
me,
give you that
see,
one.
something like that can stand alone. It doesn't need the flashpots.
No,
it doesn't need the dances.
That's my
It doesn't need Wesley coming in on a trapeze like Living on a Prayer at the beginning. It undermines.
That was my idea.
Oh, that was your idea.
Duncan, I'd say he doesn't even need to read it. That's how good
Well,
it is.
Terry,
Stand alone. In terms of stand alone, if we could actually just leave it there, unread,
Would you
how
like
powerful would
a
that
copy,
be?
Terry? Perhaps it would be good for you to
Well,
read some
we've all
poetry.
Maybe you
heard
could
it now, Wesley. I'm
Read
sure
it out to
would be-
Wendy, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd actually thought the whole range of emotions was covered in that piece. Thank you very much for sharing that. Of course, you can download that poem of Wesley's on our website. We'll upload it over the weekend at abc.net.au, RN The Lonely Hearts Club.
Richard,
There's
just for
flashes
legal
of it.
reasons, we can only upload the first verse.
Great.
Yes.
Great. I'm looking forward to seeing what font you're choosing.
Thank you.
Right now, it's Sally Seltman with Heart That's Pounding. Well, Sally Seltman, Heart That's Pounding, a track about angina, which is good of her to support those with irregular beats. Terry, your phone
Yes.
Could you
did-
switch it off,
I will,
please?
but thank you, because you dropped a bombshell just before the previous song. I have been seeing Wendy Turnbull on and off for a couple of years now. Wendy didn't really want that made public, so thanks for the text, Rabbi. And I'm in Sydney on Thursday. I'll be at Juice Nightclub, and I'll meet you at the front at Stumps.
Okay, great. And we will be speaking about age-appropriate dating later, speaking of Wendy. Right now we have a lady expert in the studio. I can see Duncan salivating, and Wesley's got the HB pencil out, ready to channel any emotion. She was born in Oxford, England, and spent some time in Boston, America, and she grew up in Australia. She is an expert on how to be a woman, but more so, she actually has been helping single men out for some time. I understand she goes out on Thursday evenings, dishing out food to lonely men all around the east coast of Australia. She's found her way to Melbourne today and dropped into the club. She's one of Australia's finest actor cooks. She is, of course, Jane Alsop. Jane, welcome to the club.
Hello. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much for dropping in. What's that wonderful odour? Is it a perfume that you're wearing?
Well, it quite possibly could be. I'm wearing Christian Dior Addict. But I've also brought in a dish that I've cooked. I wanted to talk today about cooking for one, and that's actually something I do regularly, even though I have a partner and 2 children, because often my partner's working. And this is a favourite of mine.
What is it to mean cooking for one? I mean, there is a symbiosis, isn't there, of love and culinary exploits?
Yeah, look, I think often when cooking for one, people cop out and think it's not worth making the effort because it's just for you. But I really couldn't disagree with that more strongly, because I think if you're just going to lounge around eating Vegemite toast, you've sort of just thrown the towel in. And I think you should love yourself more than that. And actually, it's quite nice to sit down and refer to a nice dish, even if you are on your own.
I'm very pleased to hear you say that, Jane, because when I cook, I always cook for 2, even though there is generally only 1. And I will set 2 places, and I will light a candle.
Yep.
Why not 2 candles?
Well, that would be pointless, Terry. I tend to eat a bit from each meal,
Okay.
and that way I feel like I've shared my evening. And
Yeah.
it works.
Well, look, I mean, particularly in regard to this dish, which has a chicken breast in it, and I often can only eat half one, so I'll either use half a chicken breast or make the whole thing, add some extra veggies, and make myself dinner for tomorrow night as well.
Wow.
The fact you've chosen chicken breast, and I'll share it here because with the Lonely Hearts Club, I do generally choose my food based on how much it reminds me essentially of the female anatomy.
A woman.
Right. A woman, yes.
Oh.
So I will choose a breast or a thigh or a leg. It's hard to get a buttock.
Bearing that in mind, I quite like to eat my chickens unplucked. I'm a huge fan of hair, and do love the voluminous cascading of a woman's scalp. And no offence, Terry, I know the male pattern baldness is kicking in a gear, but...
No, I often enjoy a nice plate full of chicken feet, because it reminds me of my ex-wife Wendy. So
Okay.
I think it's great that we're going to get some recipes we can maybe use here, because I'm hearing some sadness around the table.
Oh, well.
And my own situation, I have to say, in the weeks after the divorce, I was, on my own for the first time. I was getting by on potato chip sandwiches.
Yeah,
I would
no,
have
that's-
Monday to
that's
Friday,
terrible.
and then
Yeah.
on Saturday I'd treat myself with some Pringles.
Look,
So
there are
it was like a
so many.
treat.
There are so many things that are so easy to cook. That don't dirty a lot of dishes. They're simple to make.
What's the dish that you've got today?
So the dish I've done today is prosciutto wrapped chicken on asparagus and tomatoes. The reason I love this dish is that it's so easy to make. It's also very healthy, because you don't want to lie around eating toast every night and just turning into a big blob. You can't sustain yourself long term on a diet like that. That's not healthy.
I think if you mix up the chips, though, I mean, there's many.
some
There's
raw
salt and
flavours.
vinegar.
Yep.
There's many different kinds. There's cheese and onion, which is really, it is vegetables. You're a fan of vegetables.
Chicken twisties, you can have a
So
crack
there's a
at that
range.
with
There's
the
a very
Vogels bread.
lot of saturated fat in there, though. I wouldn't be
But I
recommending
think,
that
I
as
think again, with respect, you could certainly go a month.
Yeah, I think something like this has definitely got a lot more nutritional value in it, and it's going to make you feel better, ultimately. And I think that's,
I just say,
feeling
Jane,
better is always
it's
good.
absolutely beautiful.
It is.
Oh, thank you.
Well, talk
It
us
is.
through how to cook it.
Okay, so just preheat the oven to 180 degrees. Put the asparagus, cherry tomatoes, red capsicum, and rosemary leaves in an oven-proof dish, and a bit of garlic there too. Salt and pepper and some olive oil and white wine on it. Toss it round. And then you simply lay out your prosciutto, put the chicken breast on top, wrap the prosciutto around and put that on top of all your veggies, and a little more olive oil, salt and pepper, and another bit of rosemary on top, and put it in the oven for half an hour.
Wow.
And the only thing left to do after that is, once you serve it, just a little bit of balsamic vinegar on top.
Practical question. If a wife or one of your wives has custard of the oven, is there an alternative way to cook this?
Yeah, you're probably struggling without an oven, because chicken does definitely need to be cooked through, just for
Really?
health issues, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I suppose there's no reason why you couldn't buy a pre-cooked piece of like smoked chicken or something, and serve that on top of the veggies. It would obviously turn into quite a different dish then. but-
Leslie, you could use the hairdryer that you usurped from her and hid as a final parting gesture to just start.
It was a statement, yeah. No, thank you. I could. I could set it on 3 for what, 2
8 hours?
8 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what results that would bring, but...
Well, blow-dried chicken.
okay. Air-dried sort
Yeah.
of.
Wow, Jane, well, I'm just sampling it now. It seems to be tasty.
Yeah.
almost.
Look, I think there's a really strong connection between food and love.
Yes, of
You
course.
know,
there is.
obviously we bring food to people we love as a gift, or, I saw a very extreme version of it a couple of months ago on a late-night program where some people were smearing chocolate cake into one another as a form of getting off. That might be taking it a little far.
I think I did some second unit on that, and now that we're talking second unit, do you mind if I just veer over towards Mount Thomas? I know we were told not to bring this up.
Oh, Duncan, please. I think Jane would like to put Blue Heel. If the listeners are listening, obviously you recognise Jane's voice as the winner of the best new talent, female talent, I believe. Is it the Logies
Yeah.
are still sort of sex-based? Is that right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yep.
They should be.
Well, there's plenty to go around. And she, of course, won that trophy for her portrayal of a young police officer, Joe Parrish, with
Rightly
2
so,
R's.
rightly so.
I was never able to get any second unit work on Healers. I was doing Good Guys, Bad Guys, I think, at the
Yep,
time.
yep.
A bit of work for Stingers with Phelpsy. But I was told that the level of realism on Healers was much higher than on the other shows I've mentioned.
Oh,
It was
okay.
more in the sort of Mike Lee kind of a vein. I was told
Okay.
that many of the crimes that occurred on the program were actual crimes that were captured accidentally by the crew. I was told John Wood, over the course of the series, solved 15 crimes
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
was never credited, never mentioned at the Logies.
Well, let's, Jane,
I know, we weren't supposed to bring it up.
but sorry, I mean, perhaps, and if you are listening, Tom Croydon, g'day, keep up the good work. We love documentaries in here, that's all. Jane, thanks for bringing the food in. Do you mind if we sample some?
Go for it. Yeah, dig in.
Yeah, Wesley's got a little green bud thing there.
Some asparagus, and they're homegrown cherry tomatoes there.
Yes, as I mentioned, I'm sorry, Jane, but
Yeah,
I won't be able to
no,
eat
that's
them.
fine. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't
allergic to
aware of your
fruit, and,
allergies.
I actually almost missed a game during my playing games with scurvy.
Oh,
so,
okay.
You can have them, though. Don't waste them.
No. I was sure someone will eat them.
Something I'd like to ask, Jane, is it true that William McInnes on the set of Healers was actually at one stage stealing bits of the set and taking a piece home every night, to the point where after 18 months a runner went round to his house and he had a complete replica of the Mount Thomas police station built in his garage?
Really? Wow.
Is that true? That's a rumour that's gone
Really?
around.
Yeah, I'm
Jane,
It's only a food
please.
question,
not
isn't it?
familiar
It's
with that story.
Please don't answer that for legal reasons.
I know we
We'll-
weren't meant to bring it up.
Jane, just in closing, what do you call this dish?
Terribly original. Prosciutto wrapped chicken on asparagus and tomatoes.
Wow.
But
Hard to find. A lot of layers.
as a man of words, I love the fact that that's both clear and evocative.
Well, Jane, thanks for coming in. Will you return later in our series?
Absolutely.
Any requests, gents, for Jane's next recipe? Something like
Meat.
a challenge, perhaps?
If you could maybe bring in a meat dish which you can also carry with you. So if you
Okay.
encounter somebody, you can woo them with the meat dish. That would be great.
Yeah.
Great, there's the challenge. Cooking for one. Wonderful segment, of course, Jane Alsop. Thanks very much. Proving the old adage, the way to a man's heart is through a 2-piece feed. Right now, it's Thailand's Michael Jackson. Wow. Samai On Wong with Ruk Tong Na. And this is our third episode in 8 of the Lonely Hearts Club. We're here till April 2nd on Saturday nights from 10 to 12. You can contact us via the Lonely Hearts hotline 1300 653 891 or via Twitter at Lone Heart Club.
Richard, can I just say, while you're talking about vacated seats, a few people have been calling in to say, where is Lucas Dawson, who normally appears?
Lucas Dawson, of course, one of the many men that were at the men's group where we first met.
In Healesville?
Healesville, Victoria. I believe he's on a date this week.
Really?
Yes, and on
Lucas?
the largest sand island in the world.
Tasmania.
Yes, and after that he snuck up to Fraser Island.
Doesn't seem to be in the spirit of the show.
Yeah, I
really.
would have thought commitment, it's only 8 weeks, you'd think.
Well, that's one of his problems. He's a bit of a
Okay,
commitment
look,
phobe.
Richard, can I just ask, are you covering for him? Because I know there have been a lot of legal problems with regard to his Move Yas Academy. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about this yet on the show with Lucas, but he does attempt to teach a dance move.
This is the rapscallion?
The rapscallion, exactly, Wesley. It's a dance move which very few people have been able to execute successfully without injury. I know there's talk of legal action. I know Todd McKenny did a hammy attempting the scallion.
Further to that, it wasn't his hammy he did.
I think that there's about 4 or 5 people in the world that can do the move.
There's only 4 or 5
only 4 or 5
people.
And from what I've read of the legal documents, which are online, you need to have access to a bathysphere to oxygenate yourself sufficiently to be able to do the rapscallion. So the whole thing is very high risk.
Yeah, it's all on the smokinggun.com.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, Lucas, good luck up in Fraser Island. We hope you don't get bashed. We've had some feedback from our wonderful listeners.
Got one here from Jenny. Richard, listened to the show for the first time last Saturday night. Segment name is appealing. I think she means show name there because she's wondering if it may be changed to something like Open Hearts Club, a bit more positive than Lonely Hearts
So
Club.
that's an angina reference to me.
But look, you would know, Wesley, it's a more poetic word.
It is, absolutely.
You wouldn't have a song called Only the Open,
No.
would you? Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Lonely Hearts Club, we're putting our cards on the table. We're saying, look, if you've gone through an ugly divorce, if you've lost a lot of very valuable filmmaking equipment in a protracted legal action, we feel your pain.
Yeah.
If you've lost half your DVDs from Region 2 and 4,
That's right. If you've been left only with the Region 5s, which is like the Philippines and Ballarat,
We're here for
we
you.
understand.
Yeah, if you have had to go through 7 different court cases to get custody of the yurt,
Oh, my God.
then this is the show for you.
We feel your pain, listeners.
Wesley.
This is from Claire Duffy, who says, "Hey guys, why the focus on blokes? Aren't women lonely too? Are women lonely? It's a fair question. They seem pretty happy to me.
the ones I meet are pretty happy and
very
not lonely. Yeah.
No, well, they always seem to be quite jovial when I meet them at the various brothels. They're always up for a chat.
Wendy's throwing the sand down. She's obviously enjoying life.
Yeah, she's
Terry?
got a full bojangle.
Yes, Wendy.
Just to clear up, your wife was named Wendy Wood. She's
Yes.
now married a gentleman named Kenneth Won't.
Yeah, and
her new partner is Wendy Turnbull. Is she aware that you go for Wendy's?
Rab and I actually met while I was married to my first Wendy. By
That
the way,
must have been great when you were having sex. You could call out that name without any fear of being discovered.
Yeah,
well,
right.
I usually call out Terry, so it didn't really matter,
okay.
Wesley. I should just mention that my first Wendy, from when I look at the social pages and see her with her new man Kenneth, she looks happy, and I'm happy for her because nothing makes me happier than to see my first Wendy all dressed up on the arm at the opening night of some well-known production of musical theatre. Her going to opening nights is the same as me staying home and drinking a bottle of scotch.
Yeah.
The end result is the same. You end up asleep.
Sure. Listen to this. Nick Henry has emailed in. This program is abysmal dross. Do Radio National and its listeners a favour. Go away forthwith. Now, I know there's a Nick Henry works here at Radio National, so I'm hoping it's not him.
Well,
Gee, that's pretty blunt.
May I just look at that,
Abysmal
Duncan?
dross.
Because, again, when you see something written down,
Yeah.
you see that's a haiku. That's a
Oh,
haiku.
okay, it's a coded message.
I love what he's doing there. That's very good.
Of course, haikus usually contain a seasonal reference. His seasonal reference is...
Well, dross is originally a German word, drosch, which means that little gap in between autumn and winter.
Yes.
It's a cold, bitter time.
Right, abysmal, obviously, less equivocal.
That's an insult, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's always great to hear from our listeners.
It's a great part of the show.
Yeah, we'd...
To know they're out there.
Could I read one of my poems to Nick?
I think that might reverse the mood.
Yes.
This is from my latest book, Return to Gondor. These are healing poems. We talked about this at Hillsville, that we had anger issues, let's be upfront about it, and a lot of my early poetry was angry poetry. So this is a cycle of healing poems, Spring, Flower, In the Sunshine. This is In the Sunshine. It burns, tearing out my eyes, the way you tore up my heart. The shadow that you cast is of my former self, bitch.
Absorbing.
That's not a haiku, is it?
No, it's a healing poem.
Right.
There's a difference.
I think we all feel healed now.
I'd like to read Spring and Flower a bit later because it's all this cycle of positivity.
It's like you looked straight into my soul, Wesley.
Thank
And,
you. Thank you, Richard.
Once again, Wesley Deschon, ladies and gentlemen, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S. Right now, it's time to cross live to Hollywood for all the latest in entertainment and movie news.
Live and direct from Hollywood, Los Angeles, with all the latest entertainment, movie news and blues. It's Hollywood Nights with Sir Nigel Higglethwaite.
He's on the line now. Sir Nigel, the Oscars are on Monday night. One of the shortest prize favourites in the 59-year history of the Academy Awards is Natalie Portman to win Best Actress. Now, that's for the film Black Swan. Some would say it's a fait accompli. Who, if anyone, can stop her?
Of course, the feeling is wonderful, of course. Lot of talk, lot of buzz. One must never succumb to it, though. One must never succumb. Hype is just that, hype. I think that you can promote yourself in such a way. Of course, a good friend of mine, Terry Stamp, who I lived with for a while, a man known to get naked at the drop of a hat, and drop his hat he did at any occasion. I remember him doing Equus at the Lyric, and I had to ask him, I saw him backstage, it was a Wednesday, they had these late Wednesday performances, wonderful in the 70s, and of course Equus back then, setting the streets ablaze, as it were, with the nudity. And I said to him, I have to ask Terry, in regards to your todger, as it were, how do you do that? Stand naked in the audience? And he said to me, and this is his exact quote, he said, Nigel, I merely think of my old nemesis from The Guardian, Lincoln Posworth, theatre critic, and the time he called me as wet as a Thames river rat. And the insult keeps me just angry enough to get a little blood boiling and prevent any wind chill reduction in size, as it were, but just depressed enough to stop me getting a penny farthing in front of the Covent Garden fashionistas. Of course, a lot of fashionistas in Covent Garden at the time. The scar.
If it's Hollywood, it's Higglethwaite.
Yeah, there you go. Informative as always, the Oscars Monday night. And I have to say, wins the best second unit photography going to be introduced as a category. I mean, they have sound effects editing, honestly.
Wow.
Who notices the sound effects editing?
What project would you be nominated for, if they did have that, in the last 12 months of your work?
Have you ever done film, Doug?
Oh, I've done...
Oh,
well,
sorry,
I did
sorry.
the Hawk telly movie. I guess that could be considered a film.
Right.
Sure.
I did just the shot of Jerry Hand putting a cup down on a coaster, which is fast becoming my trademark shot, really, the cup going down on the coaster.
It's your signature.
And you did the second unit on the ad they have for Hoyt's, the close-up of the popcorn container. That was you?
Yeah, that was me.
So that's cinema?
Yeah, I actually lit the "and" in the Pearl and Dean polystyrene letters
Was that
years
you?
ago. That was me.
That was strong.
I was the "and" in Pearl and Dean.
Wow.
Godspeed, Jackie, by the way.
Yeah,
Back at you.
good luck to it.
Nigel Higglethwaite, our entertainment reporter, he will be at the Oscars on Monday night, no doubt, and we'll look forward to hearing what scoops and crevices he gets into on Monday evening. Australian time. Right now, it's the best 3 minutes and 33 seconds of progressive rock ever recorded. Wow. Super Tramp. I mean, what a wonderful play on words, Wesley.
Can you put your hands in your head? Oh, no. Again, when you hear those words, so, but when you see them written down, breathtaking.
Right now, we have an expert who's not a lady, but his expertise are ladies. He was someone who was a shy, nice guy who wanted to date women but was too afraid to approach them. We are, of course, talking to dating expert Alex Nova. Alex, welcome to the Lonely Hearts Club.
Hi guys, thanks very much for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
I guess the first question is, what makes you a dating expert?
Well, I must say that I started off pretty much like any other ordinary guy, wanting to date the most attractive, the most interesting, and the most beautiful women out there. But I just didn't have the courage or didn't know how to go about meeting them, or basically I didn't know what to say or how to approach them, for starters. So that's where all my problems started happening.
But surely you must have had some received wisdom over the years. People give you tips. I mean, I was always told that what women really want to hear is you talking about yourself and your achievements at length and in great detail. And I adhered to that philosophy for years, and I have to say it got me nowhere.
Well, exactly. People say, look, be yourself, and eventually you'll find the right woman. But the problem is, if you are being yourself and you are shy, you're insecure, you don't actually have an exciting lifestyle, then if you keep showing those character traits to all the women that you meet, then you're obviously going to end up being very lonely.
Right, so you're saying deception is the answer. Present a completely false version of yourself.
Deception.
And then maintain it for as long as possible.
Forget about what everything your parents have told you, because that stuff doesn't work, because you can't actually learn these things at school or at university. You can only model other successful people who are really good with women. So, for example, they say that bad boys and guys that treat women mean actually get successful results, which is in a way true, but you just have to analyze what actually works for them and, in a sense, copy all those characters.
So when you take a role model, say someone who's done really well with the ladies, like, say, I don't know, Ricky Nixon, we should maybe take a leaf out of his book.
Well, yeah, I don't think I would encourage anyone to follow exactly his footsteps, but pretty much, I mean, you look at, hypothetically, someone like James Bond, you know, look at the way he carries himself, look at the way he speaks, look at the way he basically acts.
I'm very interested to hear that, Alex, because I did model on my parents, which was difficult for me because I was adopted twice, in fact. So I modelled on my second parents, or third in truth.
Wesley, up at Hillsville, you did delve into a rather dark period in your time when you were known as the bad boy of poetry.
That's true, and obviously, you know, I think some of the things I wrote about Judith Wright now I look back on, and I think it was strong. It was strong, but it was iambically correct.
I thought that he was the bad boy, Terry, because of his use of synonyms. As opposed to any actual thing that he had said directly that was slanderous.
As I wrote in my famous poem, Judith Wright.
Judith Wrong, yeah.
That's
right.
Of course, I wrote, let he who is not a synonym in his own heart cast the first stone. I think it says what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, of course, that is now available in hardback, the 10-year anniversary edition that's just been released.
Although the first 5 pages, for legal reasons, are not available just now.
Wow. They're omitted. Can we talk about e-books, speaking of literature?
Yes.
Attract women naturally. This is something that's available.
That's right. Yep, we've got that listed on our website, and pretty much anyone who logs onto our website can have a look and browse through all the content that's available on that ebook.
Will it attract women naturally if you leave the book Attract Women Naturally on a table where the woman you're trying to attract can see it?
I think that actually might work in a negative way for you, because if women see that you're actively trying to educate yourself in the area of on how to attract women, then I guess a lot of women might think that you have problems with it. And it's, if a woman can tell that you are not able to specifically go out there and meet and attract women, then they're going to think that you're somebody that is struggling in life, and obviously it's not going to be
because
working
the
out
book
for you.
I currently have on my table is German lithographs and woodcuts, 1882, 1894. So I was just wondering if this would be better, your book.
I
than
think
that.
your book would be better because it actually creates intrigue and women will want to ask you questions about it.
Alex, you have on your website, you say here, these days women, for me, are abundance. Not sure that's the correct spelling. To be completely honest with you, I now have to turn women down myself simply because I do not have enough time in my everyday life to date them. If there are any female listeners out there thinking that Alex may be available, I'm sorry. He's also found his dream woman and has a great relationship with her. Alex, what happens? Talk us through. Women actually come up to you and speak to you?
I pretty much have the choice of being able to go out with as many women as possible. So it all comes down to the time that I've got in my week to spend with whoever I like. So,
how do you know that a woman's trying to come on to you? What are some telltale signs?
pretty much, you have to read their body language, just the way they carry themselves around you, whether they're asking or suggesting to catch up for something as a coffee or just to actually hang out together, as well as, trying to get your contact details like your number or your email.
How do you tell the difference in a woman's eyes between love and loathing?
Well, women do like to play hard to get. So that's just the part of their natural character. So women are the selectors when it comes to choosing the opposite sex. So if a
Who
man...
made them, the selectors? Who?
Well, just the evolution and the
Well,
way
who,
that...
who decided that?
Just the internal biological system that women have developed, because men, they can actually go out there and try and meet as many women as possible, but it's at the end of the day the woman's going to choose who she will go home with that night. So
I notice, Alex, you speak with somewhat of an accent, being fans of the first Police Academy, where Georges Martin was actually revealed to be George Martin. What is your real accent?
I'm actually from Russia originally, so yeah.
Okay.
I've been living in Australia for the last 18 years, so I've still got that small accent.
Wow, who doesn't love the Russian mob? Alex, some
I
of the
hope you're
reading...
not implying a connection with the Russian mob to our guest, Terry. People have called you a bitter man on this program before. Goodness, I'm sorry
Steady,
about
Duncan.
that.
What is the guaranteed pickup line, Alex? That's the holy grail, isn't it?
Well, I'd probably advise you against using pickup lines in general. They will automatically write you off as somebody who's taking the piss out of them.
So how do you start a conversation then? Because without a pickup line, it's hard to envisage.
Well, the easiest way to start the conversation is to use what I call as a universal opener, and that is say hi.
It hadn't occurred to me, the blunt, direct approach. I notice you've written a book also, A Complete Guide to Calling Women, speaking on the phone, and it says you talk about what are the mistakes guys make with women on the phone. One obviously would be failing to achieve completion before the 3 minutes is up. But what is probably the single biggest mistake that guys make?
Well, when the guys call women, they usually ask, "Hey, this is Alex. What are you doing?" That's obviously one of the worst.
I must admit I actually did get the weekend chit-chat and talking, and I think that's where the problem was. I didn't substitute Alex with Richard, so
And I think you also substituted doing with wearing.
Wearing, yeah.
Right. Yes. Alex,
Is it essential when you ring up a woman to even speak?
Well, of course.
No.
I would highly stress that you should call them, anywhere from Sunday till Thursday night, usually after 7 o'clock.
That would be the right answer.
Yep.
So that you're saying the wrong answer would be every 90 seconds.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Cross that one off.
well, Alex, I must say I am following your books to a T, and I have been phoning prospective women between Sunday and Thursdays after 7, always between 2 and 3 a.m. because I know they'll be at home.
Do you
Alex?
talk to them, Richard?
No, not at all.
No.
I just like to listen to them.
Cool.
And make sure they're not suffering from sleep apnea. It's time for us to actually stop and pause and think about young men as they embark on the journey of life. Their dreams are formed, hopes are realised, the world's their oyster. But like the warm glow of a candle, love flickers bright. But sometimes in our lives, those dreams are shattered. Our hopes fade. The oyster is contaminated by an ocean-dwelling algae. And like a candle, the flame of love burns out. And It's important that we take time in our busy schedules to stop and gaze out a rain-swept window as the world goes by with scant care for us, and think about all those people who are more successful than us, who are happier, who are healthier, who are more content, for whom dreams do come true. It's important to reflect on what might have been. It's time for me time. Billy Field, Australian singer-songwriter best known for his hit single You Weren't in Love With Me from 1981. It was number one, of course. That was Me Time, where we stop and think about those who have done us wrong. And it's important to hold on to that anger and use it to motivate oneself.
If I may, Richard, read another short poem from my pastoral triptych.
This is, of course, ladies and gentlemen, a treat for the Lonely Hearts Club listeners. It's from Wesley Deshon, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S. His new book, Return to Gonda, the pastoral triptych. We've already heard In the Sunshine. Right now, it's part 2.
This is Flower, Bud Bud, Bloom Bloom, Blood Blood, Doom Doom, Happy Anniversary.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. You've been prolific since Hillsville, haven't you?
Absolutely.
I would say that.
Thank you, Terry. Coming from you, I appreciate that. I took a 6-month Arts Council funded break to work on that one. It was originally a shorter poem.
Well, that was really moving again, and thank you. I think the first sentence of that will be on the website.
That's right.
Right now, for those who have lost the spark in the bedroom, so to speak, it's time to spice things up with Pillow Talk with Mathilde. Sentez bonheur, joie dans le cœur.
Où se trouve le distributeur automatique le plus proche? Où se trouve le distributeur automatique le plus proche? Where is the nearest ATM?
It's Pillow Talk with Mathilde. Wow. She,
Is Mathilde single, Richard?
Look, she doesn't like to tie herself down to any one client. When I first started frequenting her, we just spoke.
And there's an intermediary that you have to go through to get to Mathilde, is there?
Yeah, that's
Right.
Madam Cathy.
Yep.
So she's a wonderful entrepreneur, and it's great that she's getting over the problems with her epidermis, and just keep up the creams. Marique Hardy. We're going to be peppering her and prodding her with all types of questions about her abilities, but more importantly, we'll be getting you, the Lonely Hearts Club listener, on the line to have a chat with Marique. Perhaps she can help shed some light on where the best places are to meet prospective partners.
Ah, yes.
I know that Terry likes to go to Auskick to check out the single mothers. Wesley, of course, is a big fan of any sort of literary festival. Duncan?
I prefer a vampire-themed theatre restaurant. I find that
Wonderful.
That's a great spot to get started.
I'm not actually sure of her marital status. I just know that she is HOT. Wow. Right now, it's time to hear a track that was the third single to enter the top 10 posthumously for John Lennon. It is Nobody Told Me.
Diva!
Nobody Told Me, off the album Milk and Honey. Originally, that song was meant to be for Ringo Starr to include on his Stop and Smell the Roses album. Well, it's finally here, the moment I've been looking forward to since we were commissioned by the ABC. She is a screenwriter, a blogger, a radio broadcaster, and a columnist. She seems to have done everything, and I'm wondering if she's done everyone. It's time to chat with Marieke Hardy.
Hello, Richard. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Lonely Hearts Club. You look beautiful.
Thanks. Nice for you to say.
Can I just say too, Marieke, much hotter in person.
Oh,
than you
really?
Are. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Then I am what? In everything else?
In everything else.
Yeah.
So
Then by reputation.
yeah,
I'm much hotter than my reputation.
Internet sites.
Well, if you the regular ABC family member would currently recognise Marieke on the First Tuesday Book Club on ABC One. How do you actually manage to fit in that much reading and writing and hotness every 7 days a week?
Well, the hotness takes up most of my time, obviously. It's a lot of preparation. But the rest of the time, I think I just have to schedule in the reading. I mean, I don't think you can go on. Jennifer Byrne, she senses if you're faking it.
Right.
On the book show.
Yes.
Obviously. If you haven't read the book. So you have to
hotness.
prepare. Yes.
Does she?
Yes.
Marieke, were you one of the Henderson kids?
I was in the Henderson Kids too, yes. The second series.
Were you one of them?
Well, there were Tam and Steve were the brother and sister, the Hendersons. I
Right.
was the pesky next-door neighbour, Sally
Really?
Marshall.
Wow,
yeah.
what sort of antics did you...
Oh, well, whenever there was trouble, you could be certain you'd find me and my lisp. I had a terrible lisp.
Terrible lisp.
I was 8 years old and I had quite big teeth. I hadn't quite grown into my teeth. I had a sort of the Liz Smiley extra era lisp.
Look, I want to congratulate you. I've seen a lot of ABC drama over the years. Admittedly, almost all of it British, but I've seen a lot of it. And for just characterisation, humour, as a writer myself, skill in writing, well done on Rake.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
I didn't have that much to do with Rake, and when I say not that much, I had nothing.
Yeah, I think...
But I do quite like Richard Roxburgh.
I think you're thinking of It's Laid, is it
It is
not?
Laid.
Oh, I
isn't
knew
it?
it was
Yeah.
one word,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
What is this
It's
Laid?
good, though.
It's a 6-part, we call it a black romantic comedy that's
So
currently
it's
on
about
the ABC.
Indigenous
It's
Australians?
about sex and death.
And will it be out later in the year?
We're actually partway through the series now. It's
Well, you're
3
shooting it. You're
episodes to
shooting it
go.
now.
No, it's on air at the moment Wednesday nights.
look,
Wednesday nights at 9:30 on
Thank you, Richard.
ABC
Yes,
One.
yes.
And
Sorry, is this Rake?
This
No,
is
this is
Laid.
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 Starring Richard Roxburgh.
And is it on iView?
Laid is on iView. Also, Rake is on iView.
Yeah.
Oh, I like Rake.
Oh, yeah, everyone likes Rake.
And I think the Bob Morrison show is up there for a limited period. But
It
look,
is.
can I just say, this is a show about men and men's problems, men's issues. Men in the series Laid, I mean, most of them die.
Yes. It's
Don't
very
they?
unfortunate.
Yeah.
The reason he brings that up is, in case you're wondering, Marieke actually isn't acting in it. She wrote and created and produced the entire series herself without the aid of anybody else.
Oh, well, with the person that I write with, Kirsty Fisher, and Liz Watts, who produced Animal Kingdom, is the other producer.
Yeah, but they haven't. They're
No.
not
Kind
actors.
of passengers,
No.
really.
But they had nothing to do with the Bob Morrison show.
See, Marieke, it is an interesting decision not to put yourself in the show.
Yes.
I'm sure that I speak on everyone in this studio that we would prefer to really see you on the screen, scantily clad if the scene
Terry,
dictated.
please,
if
speak
that's the
for
way the
yourself.
storyline
Terry,
was
no,
going.
I don't think that's
Please.
appropriate.
I think...
Terry, what is Wendy Turnbull going to think listening to this?
I think...
As I said, the rabbit and I are on and off, Duncan.
I think... is it Laid?
Yes.
I think Laid would be better, if I may, with a character that was winsome and hot and had a lisp.
Had a lisp.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, thanks, Wesley.
Richard, you have been following her closely for many years on Google Images. Is that right?
Yeah. And look, I thought I'd be respectful for her, and I only ever searched for images that were small.
Oh,
I didn't
thank
Someone
you.
else.
Yeah, didn't want to invade it.
Thank you. That's really lovely of you.
And only images that were not password protected.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And you've never gone to Google Maps, of course.
No.
Never.
No. Well, look, I just did want to
That's
amend.
stalking.
Right now, it's time to hear from Soko.
I'll kill her.
Stephanie Sokolinski. That's I'll Kill Her. I do like that song. She's a Polish Jew, which I always enjoy playing chess with. Marieke, do you still write for Frankie magazine?
Yes, I do, Richard.
I love that. I love reading teenage girls' mags.
Yeah, you like staying in touch.
Yeah.
Is it
Yes.
not true that Frankie magazine is the only magazine in Australia where the circulation is going up?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the key? What are they doing? Is there a Reader's Wives at the back? What are they doing?
Craft.
Craft
Yes.
is the key.
Can I?
Keen for craft.
I have, and I think, Richard, this is where we bonded. We both have every edition of Frankie magazine.
Oh, that's good.
But I have noticed the G spot has moved twice in the last 5 years. What's happening there?
Craft.
Oh, it's craft.
Yeah, it's actually all craft based. I think a couple of stitches were dropped previously, and it's affected the whole female gynecological outlook.
That's amazing.
It is.
And lucky we're into the second hour of the Lonely Hearts Club here on Radio National. You can follow us on Twitter at Lone Heart Club is our moniker. We're joined by the wonderful Marique Hardy. Marique, don't mean to pry, but when and if you perhaps wanted to meet a prospective partner, is there anywhere in particular you have or may like to attend to source these prospective partners?
Well, I suppose a shared interest is always important. I think a swingers party is a good place to meet a prospective partner. Obviously, you have to choose your moment to start conversation. Don't speak with your mouth full. That's, it's a rule that you get taught as a child, but I think that's pretty relevant later in life as well.
I went to a partner swapping party about 8 years ago, and I did swap my partner, but I ended up swapping her for a wheelbarrow.
I know that I'm always a big fan for going down to the park and seeing people walking their dogs. One day I hope to chat with those people, the dog owners, but it's always cute if you can sort of nab a dog and take it and check the phone number out and transcribe it down and then phone them after
The dog?
Phone the owners.
Oh, phone the owners.
Right.
And just say I've got Mike or I've got Rex or just say thinking of you. I've got Jester. He's seems to be pretty upset, but thought perhaps I could come over and have a coffee and we can put each other at ease.
But that's never done as a threat, is it?
Oh, no.
So you might send a
Not
photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Text a photo of Jester and say, I have Jester.
Right, I've found that women, nothing they find more attractive than the possibility of seeing their pets again. So,
Absolutely.
I have to say, I mentioned theatre restaurants earlier. I know a lot of people in Melbourne would have picked up at Capers in Hawthorn. Marique, have you ever been by Capers in Hawthorn?
No, and I'm very sad to see that Capers has shut its doors.
It's
as has Hunchbacks.
Hunchbacks has gone. Capers had signs up all around for about a year and a half saying reopening soon due to flood damage, which to me implies that it's the flood damage that you're coming to see. Closed due to flood damage, obviously, and now it's not open. People like the reformed geisha really have nowhere to perform.
That is a tragedy.
Oh, I think it's very sad
is a
for
tragedy.
singles and bands alike.
Of course, Hunchbacks known for 2 for 1 Thursdays, 3 for 2 Fridays, and Scorpion Bowl Saturdays.
Wow.
And their show Raiders of the Lost Hump, I think, which was one of the
Ahead
highlights
of
of
its
the
time.
theatre restaurant season.
Ahead of its time. It's time to hear from some of our Lonely Hearts Club members, if you don't mind, Marique.
Of course not.
Steve in Sydney.
Hello.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. Is there any place that you like to meet prospective partners?
Well, it's funny when you say it. It's not somewhere that I like to it. And when Marique was saying, similar interests, the place where I've actually met two people, funnily enough, is actually in the waiting room at the sexual health clinic.
Wow.
Bingo, snap.
You kind of feel you feel a little bit guilty because you're kind of sitting there going, they're really cute, but you kind of know that there could be a potential issue right from the start. So you kind of have to, break the ice first and then wait to see when they exit.
Or break
their
out the
appointment.
ice.
Yeah, exactly. Wait to see when they exit, whether they've got a really sore arm or can't sit down properly. If they're all good, then it's smiley, then it's all go.
And shared interests or shared ailments, did you say?
shared ointments.
It does give a marvellous opening when you have your first dinner party with your new partner. You can say, look what I picked up at the sexual health clinic.
I got syphilis and Steve.
And Shirley.
And Shirley, why not?
Steve, can I just make a bit of an elephant in the room there? You're quite a happy camper for someone who seems ridden, yes, with ailments and sexual diseases. But so good on you. It's always good to keep the chin up, isn't it?
That's exactly right. I'm single. It's Mardi Gras time, so it's all steam ahead for the sexual health clinic.
Thanks so much, Steve, and of course, happy Mardi Gras. Lenice, are you on the line?
I sure am.
G'day, Lenice. Hopefully you're not spending too much time at health clinics. Is there a place that you like to meet prospective partners?
Mainly I meet partners at festivals. Maybe Golden Plains or Meredith. I just feel like they're a bit loose there.
Music festivals?
Yeah.
And loose as in carefree?
Yeah, carefree,
And how does one approach people at music festivals?
I think when you've had a few drinks, you just go up to someone and you like the look of them and you're just like, hey, how you going? And guys like that. They love it when a chick goes up to them.
Lenice, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Oh, yeah.
Lenice, what are your rules about going back to a strange man or lady's tent at a music festival?
No, I take them back to my tent.
Lenice, do you ever go to the Ulladulla Folk Festival? On the Saturday afternoon, it's mostly dulcimers. And if you're interested, I'll give you a number to our switch and I can give you some more information.
I'm moving to WA where the miners are, so I can have a really strong man who can actually lift me up because I'm very light.
Oh, well, just take a pause there, Lenice. I have been doing 21s for my biceps. You don't have to relocate to Margaret River for that.
Duncan, Lenice, 35 years old, but does sound quite young. I know that's something that's always appealed to you.
Oh, look, I don't want to go into what the Confidential said about my dating a series of age-inappropriate women in this episode. But being tagged the Ricky Nixon of the second unit industry, I don't want that following me around.
Will you give us a call when you get to Western Australia?
Oh, I sure will.
That'd be great. Marique Hardy, thank you so much for coming in to the Lonely Hearts Club. Be sure to check out her wonderful work on Wednesday nights at 9:30. The show is called Laid, L-A-I-D. There's lots of death and valour in that, which always goes well on a midweek binge. Right now, it's time to hear from a couple of hot young electro exponents straight out of France, always at the cutting edge of music, combining the latest in technology and music. First released in France in December 1976. It's an incredible tune. Thanks so much to the wonderful Marique Hardy and our Lonely Hearts Club callers.
Can I just say what a treat it's been to have Wesley Duchon in the club here?
Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Richard.
Wesley
Terry.
Duchon, of course, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S.
May I finish with the third of my
Got another one.
pastoral triptych? Yes.
How many of those scribbles do you have?
We've heard In the Sunshine, there was Flower.
And now the third of the healing poem, Spring.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lonely Hearts Club listeners, it's Wesley Duchon, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S, with Spring.
Roses are red, geraniums are blue. I have an apprehended violets order out against you.
Wow, strong stuff.
When the muse is with you, you listen to the muse.
You do.
Not afraid to pick at the stitches of the heart is our Wesley Duchon. Simply known as Wesley in the literary circles, so famous that he's just the one word, much like Natalie and Eddie. What's happening in the world of poetry next week for Wesley Duchon?
Well, it's a big week for me. I've been asked to appear exclusively at Mogo Zoo on the New South Wales
Below
South
Bateman's
Coast.
Bay.
Below Bateman's Bay. I will be doing a book signing and an impromptu poetry slam based on whatever animal is brought before me. I'll be signing, obviously, Return to Gondor. And this is important for me because Return for Gondor right now is number 42 with a cravat on the East Coast Independent Poetry Chart. So I'm hoping that's going to be a bit of a turning point.
Yeah, get some wind in your sails.
Yes,
so to speak.
exactly. Beneath my wings, yeah.
Oh, Wesley, well, it's been wonderful to have you in. Hopefully your signing commitments will allow you to get back into the club in a couple of weeks' time.
I hope so. And look, it's been really good to see you all again. Would it be an issue if I kept Marique's chair?
I think that's allowable. We haven't got webcams on at the moment, so anything goes. Really.
It's all yours, Wesley. All yours.
Thank you. Merci.
We'll scissor paper rock for it off air. Duncan.
I'm doing second unit on a fantastic new Australian film. It's still under wraps. It's Wogboy 3, Kings of Mykonos 2.
Whoa.
Slightly confusing. This time the lads are off to Asia to take part in something called the Fly Lie Massacre. So I don't know that I'm allowed to say any more than that.
I like the way Nick Giannopoulos has matured with each film.
I think this time there's some jokes about fluffy dice.
Can't wait. Apparently he's doing something with Bell Shakespeare later this year, and really can't wait to see
Walk Summer Night's Dream, I believe it is.
Walk Summer Night's Dream.
Two Gentlemen in a Corona, I think they're doing.
Constantly reinventing the entertainment landscape. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Duncan.
Thank you.
And thank you, Wesley Deschon, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S.
Merci beaucoup, Richard.
And thank you, Radio National listeners anywhere. And as we say here at Lonely Hearts Club, may all your lovin' be free of cost. Right now, it's Trevor Chappell.